Good morning. I'm Lois Lowry, and I'm speaking to you from Maine in the United States. Maine is in the Northeast. It's very cold. Right now it's very snowy. And of course, we're all confined by the coronavirus and the quarantine. So one of the things I'm doing during this period of time is, reading books. And, of course, writing books as well. I've selected 3 books to talk to you about, to describe to you, and each of them happens to be written by a friend of mine. That's not surprising because many of my friends are writers, and particularly writers of books for young people. And so I selected 3 of them, 3 authors, 3 books, and then I'm going to talk briefly about one of my own. But the first book I'm going to tell you about is this one. And I'm suddenly aware that the title of the book is not on the cover. That's kind of surprising. The title is Stargirl, and the author is Jerry Spinelli. Jerry Spinelli has written many books for young people. He's won many awards. And this is not a recent book. It's been around for a while, but it's quite recently a movie made by Disney. The main character in Stargirl is a boy who is a junior in high school. That's what we call here the 11th grade. And so his name is Leo, is about 16 years old. And during that year, his 11th grade year, a new girl appears in the school. And she is very, very different from any girl that has ever been in the school before and that Leo has ever seen before. She's unlike the other girls. She doesn't wear the same kind of clothes or cut her hair the same way. She doesn't act like the other girls. She's completely individual. And he, of course, is quite taken by her. And eventually, of course, because this is a novel and it's about 16-year-olds, they fall in love. However, this is late in the book. He says to her, this group thing, it's very strong. It's probably an instinct. You find it everywhere, from little groups like families to big ones like a town or a school to really big ones like a whole country. The point is, in a group, everybody acts pretty much the same. That's how the group holds itself together. Why? She said. And he doesn't know the answer. But then he says, I think you should try to be more like the rest of us, I said. Why? She said again. Because, I said. Tell me, she said. It's hard, I said. Say it. Because nobody likes you, he said. And so, Stargirl, and that's not her real name, that's a name she has applied to herself. Her real name was Susan, a very common name in the United States. But she tries. She goes back to being Susan. She tries to become like everybody else, and of course, fails. Their romance fails. And so it's not a happy ending. But it's an interesting book because it's about conformity and what that means in the lives of kids. Jerry Spinelli, Stargirl. Second book I chose, also by a friend, M.T. Anderson. There's his name. M.T. uses his initials, but he's a guy. And the name of the book is one word, Feed. Complicated book, hard to describe, but it's set in the future at a time when everybody, 73% of the United States population, has within their brain an implanted what they call a feed. It's like a computer. And so instead of having a computer or a cell phone, they communicate through their brains by telepathy, but also constantly ads are piped into their brains, advertisements for things, and it's a consumer society. Outside, the environment has been destroyed, but they're still buying things and buying things. Again, he's a boy, he's 18, and there's a girl. Her name is Violet. His name is Titus. And she has not been implanted with a feed at birth the way the rest of them have. She got her feed later, and she's never adapted to it well. And so you know from that there's going to be an unhappy ending. And indeed, at the end, he sits on the floor despairing, and through his feed, he orders a pair of pants. It says, I ordered pair after pair. I ordered them all in the same color. I could feel them moving through the system. I put tracking orders on them. I could feel credit deducted, the warehouse alerted, and packing. I could feel the packing, the shipment, the distribution, the FedEx, the numbers, the order number, my customer number. I could feel them all in my circulation. And then, after a while, I had no credit. The book ends in an interesting and odd way. Feeling blue, this is what's being fed to him through his feed. Then dress blue, it's the Blue Jean Warehouse final sale. Everything must go, it says. Everything must go. Everything must go. Everything must go. And on the final page in very small print, everything must go. Very interesting book by M.T. Anderson called Feed. Okay, here's another one by a friend, Cynthia Voigt. This book is called Homecoming. The main character is a girl named Dicey. She's 13 years old. Her mother is a very troubled woman. Psychiatric problems. She's lost her job. They have nothing. They have been evicted from their house. And mother decides to take Dicey, age 13, and the 3 younger children north in their car to stay with a relative whose address she has. And they set out, but they stop in a parking lot of a shopping center. Mother gets out, goes into the shopping center, says, I'll be right back. And she does not return. She abandons the children. Dicey, 13, 3 younger children, 8 and 9, and a little girl of 6. And they have no money. The car doesn't work. Dicey's afraid to call the police because she's afraid the police will separate them. And so she sets out with her younger siblings to walk to the destination. It's many, many days. So it's a survival story. How does she get money? How does she get food? Where do they sleep? And there are all sorts of answers to those questions as they make this very, very difficult journey. It's a book about determination. It's about resilience. It's about love. And it's about family, what that means. Homecoming by Cynthia Voigt. And you can see it has a medal on it. It won a big award a few years ago. I want to talk to you also about one of my own books. I know most of you in Korea have read The Giver, which is very popular there. This is the second book that comes after The Giver. It's called Gathering Blue. The main character in this one is a girl. She's the same age Jonas was in The Giver, but it's a different society. Instead of a world that's in the future and that has advanced technology, this takes place in another place where they've lost all their technology. It's a very primitive, savage place. And on the first page of this book, the girl is shown sitting in a terrible, desolate field beside the body of her mother, and wondering what she will do now that her mother is gone. It does describe, in each of these books, and there are 4 total, The Giver being first, this is the second. In each book, the main character has some particular, almost magical skill. And this one, the girl's name is Kira. It's in her hands. When she was much younger, the knowledge had come quite unexpectedly to her, and she recalled the look of amazement on her mother's face as she watched Kira choose and pattern the threads. I didn't teach you that, her mother said. I wouldn't know how. Kira hadn't known how either, not really. It had come about almost magically, as if the threads had spoken to her or sung, and after that first time, the knowledge had grown. Her skill with the threads saves her life. And of course, that's the first pages, and there's a whole book to follow, so you get to see what happens to her and why. And then there's a third and a fourth book. So those are my 4 books that I wanted to describe to you today. I hope reading becomes part of your lives as it has mine. It has so advanced and enhanced my life, and I'm very glad to have this opportunity to talk to you through your website. And I send my good wishes to all of my readers and my friends in Korea.